Welcome to the Ambassador Arena. My name is Nantia Smith, and I manage the Young Scholar Ambassador Program at the Davidson Institute. Our graduating ambassadors have the opportunity to be spotlighted in the arena. They've worked hard over the past 18 months to develop and successfully implement their projects. Each ambassador has put together a short video to share their project with you, and afterward, they share some inspiring and encouraging words of advice in my interview with them. Today's presenter is Class of 2022, Arin. He is the founder of Teens for Vaccines, which aims to increase adolescent vaccination rates through education and public policy. Enjoy his presentation.
Hi everyone, I'm Arin Parsa, and I am a ninth grader from San Jose, California. I am a member of the Davidson Ambassador Cohort for 2022, and I am super excited to be here to talk about my project, Teens for Vaccines. We love our communities, as well as the amazing 18 months of experience I've had with the Davidson Ambassador Program. A little more about me. I founded Teens for Vaccines at the height of the measles outbreaks of 2019 before the COVID pandemic, and my advocacy stems from my research interests and the factors affecting adolescent vaccine rates. I am also heavily involved in legislative and policy work. For my presentation, I would like to give an overview of Teens for Vaccines, our mission, vision, who we serve, our major accomplishments and activities, my inspiration for the project and how it grew, how the Davidson Ambassador Program has helped me, and my reflections and summary. Teens for Vaccines is a youth collective, and our core mission is to educate and empower teens to be vaccinated and be champions of public health. We have close to 45 plus ambassadors across 15 states in the US and 3 teens internationally. I am particularly proud of how diverse we are. We come from various different backgrounds and ages, including teens having vaccine hesitant and anti-vax parents. Our vision is a world where all teens know which vaccines they need and when, so teens have easy access to vaccines, especially in schools, since many teens are either rural or have parents working 2 jobs and don't have transportation. We also envision that all teens are able to self-consent to their own vaccines, especially high schoolers, so no one should live in fear, get sick, or die from vaccine-preventable diseases. There are several activities we do as a group for increasing teen vaccination rates and empowering youth as public health champions. First and foremost, teen education and outreach are most important, so pairing up teens with doctors and nurses so teens can ask questions directly is one of our key focus areas. In addition, we share resources specifically for teens who need to convince their vaccine-hesitant parents or need to find the minor consent laws in their states. This is usually in extreme cases where parents have become very anti-vax, falling prey to misinformation. We also consult with state health departments and promote doctors' blogs. We are also heavily involved in legislation for COVID safety measures, school-based healthcare funding, minor consent laws, and deplatforming those who spread disinformation. Finally, as a founder, I'm very active in cultivating media stories for amplifying teen voices and developing partnerships for campaigning alongside immunization coalitions via social media. For our vaccine advocacy efforts, we had commendations from the White House and President Joe Biden, specifically back in August for back-to-school vaccinations. I was also deeply grateful to be on a panel with Dr. Anthony Fauci and Second Gentleman Mr. Doug Emhoff as we were in the thick of the pandemic. I'm also very grateful to several organizations who have recognized our advocacy. For example, the Clinton Foundation, Duke Science and Society Communications, St. Jude's HPV Prevention, and the American Academy of Pediatrics have all invited me to present on various panels. For our legislative advocacy, we've had major successes, especially in California, for COVID safety measures in schools and keeping our vaccine sites protected from anti-vax violence. In addition, we are pushing for minor consent laws in various states and increased funding for school-based healthcare. As our efforts grew nationally over the past 18 months, we've had significant media coverage on our advocacy and impact. So here's my inspiration and my journey. I founded Teens for Vaccines at the height of the measles outbreaks of 2019 after finding out that so many teens were going to Reddit to know how they can get vaccinated without parental consent. Many immunocompromised kids were forced to stay at home because vaccine rates in schools were dangerously low. So I went to New York in the summer of 2019 to do research on the history of the anti-vaccine movement, and here I joined Vaccinate California and started at Teens for Vax on Twitter. Initially, helping teens and parents seeking answers on social media was a big focus. I had started following all immunization coalitions, pro-vax nonprofits, and adult vaccine advocates, and had built a knowledge base of easy to understand content that I could share. These were some of the organizations and doctors whose resources I found incredibly helpful in the early days of teens for vaccines. Here I started doing formal research into the factors affecting teen vaccine rates, which was a very eye-opening experience for me. One of the major factors was that vaccine unawareness among teens was especially high, since most vaccine literature was geared towards parents, and that there was barely any vaccine education in schools, so teens didn't know the vaccines they needed and when. There were also several access inequities. So for teens in low income and rural areas, and with parents working two jobs, teens were just unable to keep up their welfare visits. Also, with not enough school-located vaccines and school nurses, as well as the fact that mobile clinics for teen vaccines are rare, there were several inequities that faced many of these teens. Parental hesitancy for HPV and COVID was also another important factor that affected these teen vaccine rates. The teens wanted answers were on social media, but diseases and vaccine topics were not common teen topics at all. And then the pandemic hit. Suddenly, every teen was aware, so questions about disease transmission and vaccines surged. So teens were questioning, what is mRNA, what are antibodies, and as the pandemic progressed, what is a Delta variant? A couple of these were just common vaccine concerns, with most teens mostly echoing parental concerns, such as was the vaccine developed too fast? The name Operation Warp Speed didn't give many teens confidence about safety. Teens felt that no one was talking to them. COVID-related information, and later on vaccine information, was geared towards adults and parents. Many of them were hesitant. Teachers having varied opinions confused a lot of teens, so after an entire year of isolation, most were just fed up and wanted ways to either convince their parents or know their rights. So do they need parental consent? Where is the nearest pharmacy? And so on. Many were also seeking answers for friends. The pandemic certainly brought teens closer as everyone faced the same issues of not having enough information, engagement, or access. So this is the beginning of where the Davidson Ambassador Project really helped me scale up teens for vaccines. We wanted to bring teens together, so we surveyed through our own personal networks on how teens were feeling, what questions they had, what were their friends thinking about the vaccine, was their school doing enough, do they feel heard, and what needed to change. Teens needed to know that their opinions mattered. Soon we organized virtual town halls on Zoom where teens talked directly to doctors and nurses without parents being there. These were very informal spaces, so not like a lecture or presentation, but rather a discussion where teens felt like they were heard. So vaccinated teens were naturally sharing why they got vaccinated. To expand nationwide, I leaned back on our social media efforts, made contact with grassroots organizers, and through Zoom and Instagram organized several events for teens. Notably, we did a town hall where we got rural and urban teens together with keynote speakers from the National Association of School Nurses and Doctors for America. One of our ambassadors also helped organize a phone bank in which 4,000 phone calls were made. Soon we started to share powerful personal stories of vaccinated teens on social media. One of our videos went viral, having about 14,000 views, and it was very impactful to have extracurricular videos like playing music, sports, to connect with the message that vaccines are the only way we can truly get our lives back. A Louisiana teen who thought COVID was a joke caught COVID and then got the vaccine, joined our team so we could educate others, and we started to see a groundswell of such teens wanting to do the right thing, to reach out to their peers. We updated our website with science videos on how vaccines work, specifically the mRNA vaccine, what is community immunity, and above all, why vaccination is not just an individual choice, it affects people around us. To reassure teens and parents for the COVID vaccine, we relied largely on doctors' blogs, and these were doctors who were also parents themselves. And as I was helping teens convince their parents, I wrote down all of our tips into a guide, most important of which are get your facts down, don't fight with your parents, lean on personal stories, use doctors and nurses to bridge the conversation with parents, be persistent, and for teens of extreme anti-vax parents that are beyond hope, we help them with state laws and finding pharmacies in keeping with the law. So here is a thank you note from a teen who we helped convince her parents to allow her to get the COVID vaccine. And so soon, the network of teens started growing even more. It was very important for me as a founder to amplify teen voices, and having gone through the measles outbreaks, I knew COVID was a window of opportunity, and I needed to raise awareness so teens could start speaking up, and that support from parents, schools, healthcare providers, and legislators was absolutely critical. One of my first big media appearances was on CNN to talk about how Teens for Vaccines is trying to bridge the gap between teens and parents. Then on the BBC, I invited one of our ambassadors to talk about her specific situation, where her parents had fallen prey to disinformation. Ultimately, the goal was to raise awareness that teens need to be heard and engaged during the pandemic. Soon, many news stories followed. Particularly exciting was the one where one of our ambassadors talked to Ryan Seacrest, along with me talking to Teen Vogue, and we really needed to get the word out that teens wanted to join us. Finally, as schools opened up, vaccinated teens were willing to lobby school boards for COVID safety measures, masking, testing, and vaccine mandates. No one likes a mandate, but we can't risk going back to the distance learning, which is not equitable for a lot of teens. So as mentioned earlier, we've co-sponsored 2 bills in the California Senate and are supporting 15 plus bills across the nation. We also received very important honors from the White House. We also received honors from the United Nations Youth Envoy and from the national and international media. So this is how the Davidson Ambassador Program has helped me. The application process was highly thought-provoking and introspective, and it truly cements my passion. I had to answer several questions to myself, such as why am I passionate about vaccine advocacy? What are my ideas to help grow the project? And in what areas do I need help? And another question that I really needed to answer, am I willing to pour myself into my project? By answering these questions to myself, I was able to truly cement my passion for Teens for Vaccines, and it was very important for the upcoming months. The seminars were also incredibly timely and very helpful. For my project, I hadn't really come up with an actionable plan or true goals, even though I was working very hard trying to grow Teens for Vaccines. The seminar gave me the clarity I needed to take my ideas and come up with a way to take Teens for Vaccines to the next level. So the other seminars were very important for me, and they've highlighted the schedule here in blue. So as an example, I learned how to network effectively and truly understand the roles of a partnership through developing relationships, and I learned website design basics as well as how to fully utilize social media through the social media seminar. The monthly check-ins with Miss Nuntia Smith also gave me incredible confidence to continue growing the project. The meetings kept me very anchored and accountable to where my project was and its needs to keep growing. Being part of the inspiring cohort on a similar path as me with their own projects gave me a lot of assurance that if I needed advice, I would be able to reach out. And in some cases even, we've amplified each other's project on social media. So here are my takeaways for a successful project. So first off, just follow your passion and create an actionable plan. Just don't let anyone tell you that it just cannot be done, because it can. Actively seek out partners and other organizations that can help you along your path. You should also be prepared for your meetings by knowing what you need going into it and knowing what you want getting out of the meeting. You should also expect setbacks. So work on your project every day. I know I've experienced setbacks a lot throughout my project, and working on the project diligently helped me overcome those setbacks and surpass them. So having a measurable plan for your objectives is very important, and being flexible and not giving up opportunities is another very critical part to having a successful project. Your plan can be fluid. And also create your website and a social media presence. They matter a lot, especially when growing your project. And don't be afraid to reach out to organizations and people who can help. And also, when you create something of value, network with people. Your project will grow even further, as they will offer very important advice that will be very important in the long run. So ultimately, just think big and don't let anyone tell you it cannot be done. Just put your best foot forward, and a little every day truly does go a long way. So I just wanted to thank you so much for the opportunity. Thanks for watching this presentation, and please spread the word about Teens for Vaccines. We have these links on the slide. Please click on them and join us. And yeah, thank you so much for listening to my presentation.
And now it's my pleasure to introduce Arin. Hi, Arin.
Hello.
Thank you for being here today. That was a wonderful presentation. Thank you for sharing your journey in creating Teens for Vaccines. And I think your project had an kind of an unanticipated timeline. Some people might hear Teens for Vaccines and think, oh, he's talking about the COVID vaccine. But in fact, you actually started your research for your project on the measles outbreak in 2019, prior to the pandemic happening. And then with the pandemic, you were able to really highlight the importance of the COVID vaccine in addition to other vaccines. And you've done so much in such a short amount of time. And it seems like every month when we talked, you had something big going on related to your project, in addition to school tests, competitions, and everything else that you're involved in. When we first started working together, you were still building your website. You were making it faster, more secure, creating content, writing blogs, figuring out how to integrate social media. And today, your website is incredible. It's comprehensive, it's full of information and helpful resources. Also, you've created your own ambassador program, which involves young people from all over the country who are also passionate about your message and helping to protect communities from preventable diseases. And you provide this platform and opportunities for them to be engaged and to be heard. I think that's fantastic. And in addition to that, you've participated in numerous panels, meetings, press conferences to help spread your message. You've been in the media, both local and national. You've been involved with CNN, NBC News, ABC News, BBC World News, LA Times, just to name a few. You've had conversations with notables like Dr. Anthony Fauci, Mr. Emhoff, Dr. Chelsea Clinton. You've been involved with legislative and policy work, and the list just goes on and on. Right, you've accomplished so much since being accepted as a Young Scholar Ambassador. So through all of this, what's one thing you've learned about yourself?
Well, one thing I learned about myself as a result of the Davidson Ambassador Program was my resilience in responding to challenges. Over the course of my project, I encountered several obstacles. So, for example, originally I had planned for Teens for Vaccines to grow via science clubs in schools, but with COVID and lockdowns, I had to find another way. And I decided to persevere and use a combination of my own personal networks and social media to grow Teens for Vaccines. Another challenge was all the anti-vax pushback and online threats, but I kept my head down, put common guardrails on our social media channels. Ultimately, I knew there was a lot of disinformation that was swaying well-meaning people, so pushing forward with my project was the best thing to do. Also, designing and building my website was a lot of effort, and with school commitments, it was hard. Sometimes I would feel my project was growing way too fast, but then I reminded myself that my project was truly having an impact by having teen voices being heard, and taking part in the seminars to improve my strategic plan, and just over reminding myself that my fellow ambassadors were striving on their projects. So climbing that mountain was easier since I felt like I was really part of a community.
Great. And then thinking about your experiences over the past 18 months, what's given you the most confidence?
The strategic plan has definitely given me the most confidence. Before my project, I hadn't really come up with an actionable plan for all the ways in which I wanted to grow Teens for Vaccines. The seminar truly gave me a framework and worksheet to create my detailed plan, deeply thinking about my project's mission, vision, and then coming up with 3 goals, concrete objectives, and then for each objective, having a set of strategies and actionable steps to take. The plan gave me the most confidence. The seminar also gave me the true clarity I needed to take my ideas and come up with a way to take Teens for Vaccines to the next level. Also, the other seminars on developing relationships and networks validated a lot of what I was doing naturally by contacting various organizations. So overall, being part of a structured ambassador program and meeting monthly to give a status update on my project progress and discussing challenges gave me a lot of confidence that I can execute my project.
Great, great. Thank you for sharing that. It sounds like you gained a lot of skills that that has helped you in the last 18 months in your project, but also it can help you, in the future as
Yes.
well. So,
Mhm.
so now that you've completed the training, what's next for you?
So I plan to keep going. Vaccines grew out of my research into the factors affecting adolescent vaccine rates. And I feel there is a lot more to do to improve equitable vaccine access for all teens. So I plan to keep growing my teen network to get more teens involved. Currently, I'm working with a national nonprofit to co-sponsor various pieces of legislation here in California and other states for teen vaccine access. And I will continue to push for these. I also plan to continue my research work combining my interest in computer science and the humanities.
Great, thank you. Thank you for being that voice for young people. And then lastly, there is one question that I've been asking all ambassadors, and you touched on this a little bit at the end of your conversation, or your presentation, but maybe you could reiterate or add to it. And that question is, what advice can you share with young people who have a passion to help others but don't know where to start?
I'm really honored to be asked this question. Thank you so much. My start was grounded in a lot of reading and research. I would recommend other young people to read about the problem that they want to solve, find out how others are involved in that space, and make a list of organizations and experts to talk to. Brainstorming with parents and teachers on their initial ideas is a great way to start, and then reaching out to the organization and people from that list and talking or emailing them for advice is also very helpful. Ultimately, it is important to remember that in the early stages, putting in the work, however small the goal may be, to get experience under your belt is the most important thing you can do. Ideas will grow with more experience and networking with more people.
Great, thank you. That's great, great advice. So thank you, Arin, for sharing your journey and your insights with us. If anyone has questions for you or want to learn more about your project, where can they find you?
So you can reach out to me at arin@teensforvaccines.org. I would want you to also go to teensforvaccines.org, the website, and just read about what we're doing. We have a join us form on the website through a Google form. Also, you can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So yeah, if you want to get started, just go to our website and click join us.
Perfect. Arin, thank you for being a part of the ambassador program and for having the courage to do what you do. There are many young people out there who need help with their voice, and you're providing that. So you are such a great role model for so many young people out there. So thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
So please reach out to Arin directly with any questions about his project. If you have any questions about the ambassador program, please reach out to us at ysap@davidsongifted.org. That's YSAP. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.